Nahj Besha, Rue du Pasha, Pasha Street. For my family, this is a lot more than a place. For my family, this is where knowledge, education, curiosity starts. My grandmother, Bulbul, Ommi, Allah yarhamha, she was born in 1920, just years after this lycée, school, Lycée du Pasha, Mahad Nahj Besha, opened early in the 20th century. She received certificate d'études. This is exceptional for a woman of her age. This was the first school in Tunisia for Arab Muslim women, and she was among the first graduates. My mother, Khadija, she also went to this school, and now she runs Biblios Morda in Sokra, and she became a teacher, an educator, a cultural activist. Some of you must know her, Khadija Kamoun, and she has this library, this book club, 1,000 titles, because her philosophy is culture should be shared, l'art de partager. She wants to share her passion for reading and knowledge and curiosity. So that's me, that's what I belong to. I'm connected to this legacy of Pasha Street. Amazing to be here today, to be honest. And I share this, my passion, really my talent is curiosity. Long before biology, long before genomics, long before plants, long before climate change, curiosity is the original technology we had that allowed us to develop as human species. When I was about 10-year-old, my family moved from an apartment flat in Montfleury in the city to Sokra, a very green place at the time, very different from today for the youngsters. And for a kid like me, it was incredible. It was an expansion of my universe. Moth, butterflies, I saw them on books. They were just drawings on pages. They were dead, they were silent. And all of a sudden, they just came to life. They were fluttering around. And a kid like at that age, I just couldn't help it. I had to chase them, had to catch them, had to study them, had to dissect them, had to classify them, put them in boxes, as you can see here. This is from my collection from my teenage years. And I didn't know it at the time, of course, but I discovered something in addition to curiosity. I guess wonder. I discovered the wonderful world of nature. And I didn't realize it, but it just stayed with me until today. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here today speaking to you, because after Sokra, as a kid, 17-year-old, I went everywhere. I went to Paris, I went to California for a PhD, I went back to Europe, to the Netherlands. I had a stint in Australia, spent a lot of time driving around Australia. I went back to the US, then to the UK, kept crossing the Atlantic, and now I'm in the UK, and I'm doing something amazing, because my job is to be curious, to generate knowledge. And one of my heroes, one of my scientific heroes is Jacques Monod. He's one of the pioneers of molecular biology, and legend has it that on his deathbed, his last words were, "Je cherche à comprendre," I seek to understand. So inspiring, and I cannot believe that this is my job. That's the job, is to understand things. Very inspiring. And I became plant biologist. I study plants. Plants, amazing. I don't know if you know it, but you know, every meal we eat, every breath we take, you know the oxygen in this room? Thank you, plants. And I have only one line for you, one line. Medicine can save you one day, someday, but plants, they save your life every day. Remember that. And actually I specialize, of course, in science we have to specialize. My specialty is plant disease, because maybe some of you know it, but plants get sick also, just like we get sick. And the problem is big. We lose like quarter of our food or our crops to plants. And if you do the math, that's enough to feed 1.5 billion people. Can you imagine? Like, think about 1.5 billion people just because of disease. All these critters, microbes, viruses, insects, nematodes, worms, all these critters want to infect and feed on plants, just like us. They want to eat your breakfast. But that's a lot of food, 1.5 billion people. Now, if you go for a walk, and Tunis al-Khadra, it's very green right now in Tunis, and if you go for a walk, there are plants everywhere right now after all the rain, and plants are doing just fine. You go for a walk and plants are doing fine. And you know why? They're doing fine, despite all those pathogens, all those viruses, all those microbes. Because plants, just like us, they have an immune system. Somehow people don't realize that plants have an immune system. That's what I study. That's my specialty. I study the plant immune system. And plants they have white blood cells, they don't have the same immune system we have, but they have receptors, immune receptors. These are like sensors. Every plant cell carries a whole bunch of these receptors. And these receptors can detect an infection. If that cell gets infected, the receptor gets activated, the cell dies, the virus cannot spread, but the plant does okay and keeps growing. That's how the immune system of plants works. And I study that. And these folks are in my lab because, it's one of the blessings of my life is I'm not just passionate and curious and so on. I'm surrounded by people like me. I work with people from everywhere. This is Mauricio from Argentina. This is Selfaraj from India. I'm from Tunisia. We're all working in a lab in England. And we study how these immune receptors work. And these guys, they cracked it. They figured out how an immune receptor gets activated during an infection. These proteins, sorry, get technical here, but proteins, they're sticking to each other. Two of them are sticking to each other. And then what happens when infection comes, they just open up. And they go on to make this structure, this incredible, incredible structure. Look at it. It's amazing. It's beautiful, isn't it? That's 6 of them. 6 of these proteins come together and they form a resistosome. Look, I was so excited about it. I brought you one with me. You can find me afterwards and hold it. Have you ever held a plant immune receptor? This is why the plants outside are not dying, because they have these receptors and they can fight pathogens and fight infection. Resistosome, think about it. That's why we have food. That's why we have air that we can breathe, because plants can fight off these pathogens with these receptors. Amazing, isn't it? And then, of course, climate change. Climate change came in, changed everything really, and we know it. In Tunisia, we've been exposed to it for the last years, so many years. And this is actually from near Al-Kaif, and you can see the damage that it does. But what climate change does also, it's not just heat, it's the stress, the drought, the changing conditions, the pests that don't die in winter because it's not cold enough, all of that stuff. And yes, it's a problem. We're losing our crops also to climate change, and disease becomes an even more severe problem. How can we fight it? Knowledge, curiosity. There are plants that are adapted to arid, dry conditions. They know how to deal with stress. And these plants, they're also in Tunisia, like these wheat varieties, Mahmoudi, Shili. These are traditional varieties that our farmers have been growing for centuries, and they've been exposed to droughts, and they're just doing fine. They've figured out how to deal with it. Their immune receptors, their resistosomes, can function under these difficult conditions. So we did it. This week there was an announcement. Maybe some of you heard it yesterday. It's wonderful. Tunisian team has sequenced the genomes of these 2 ancestral varieties of wheat, Chili and Mahmoudi. We helped them a little bit with Get Genome. We put together a non-profit NGO in UK called Get Genome to help communities like Tunisia access this knowledge and this technology. And what they did, they shared all the data, open source. It's available for everyone in the world who wants to study and collaborate with them. And now with this data, they actually have the sequence, they have the knowledge, they have the list of all the genes, all these resistosomes. They have that list, and they can find out what special resistosomes do these plants have that allow them to survive under these conditions, and why are they different from the other wheat that we grow in large scale, etc. We didn't stop there. In my lab, we started the program last year. Very risky. I tell you, it's a crazy program. Everybody looked at me with open eyes when I suggested this. We're studying the immune system of desert plants. I said, let's do it, guys. Let's go for that. You see this plant here? What do you think it is? You think it's a cactus, right? Well, no, it's not a cactus. It's an euphorbia. Some of you have it in your gardens. It's very popular, actually, house plant or horticultural plant in Tunisia. And the euphorbias, just like cactuses, they figured out how to live under these conditions, under very tough, dry, climate change type condition environments. And they've done it. Plants have figured this out over and over again, independently. We call this convergent evolution. And convergent evolution can help us identify what's so special about these plants. So I said, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And we're doing it. We're studying these plants now, studying the immune system. Hardly anything is known about their resistosomes. But we're trying to do it. Will we succeed? I don't know. It's science, research, very risky. I love risky stuff, but this is risky. I tell my lab, guys, if you want a guarantee, buy a refrigerator. If you buy a fridge, you get a guarantee. But if you do scientific research, there's no guarantee. It's risky. But that's fine. I like the risk because high risk means high payoff. And then if we succeed, it will be amazing. We'll understand how the immune system of these plants work, and hopefully we can then translate that knowledge to the crops we grow. Okay, so we're back to where I started. I mean, I'm here because of Pasha Street, TEDxPasha. And that's really my legacy. That's a journey that was allowed by curiosity, by that wonderful kid who was chasing butterflies and moths, and also by the fact that I'm addicted to knowledge. I really honestly have an addiction. Every day I have to feed my addiction. And if there's one addiction I suggest to you, for you to have, it's an addiction to knowledge. So go for it. Consume knowledge, create it, share it. Knowledge is the best thing we have as human species. And to solve these problems, very tough problems for the next generations, even now for problems like climate change, the solution, they will start with curious people, with people who are addicted to knowledge. And they will start in special places like TEDxPasha, like Pasha Street. That's where curiosity and culture starts. I picked plants. You make your pick. Thank you.